Hello and welcome to A Moment in Time with Nex. I'm here with you for a book review on this book, Belief Without Borders, Inside the Minds of the Spiritual but Not Religious by Linda A. Mercadante. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that properly. So this is a book that was gifted to me as a birthday present from my mom, and it came alongside another much more obviously like Christian conversion books. So I had a preconceived notion that this book was also a Christian conversion book, but I wasn't really sure. This one definitely seemed more interesting to me than the other one. I just did a review of that one, which was called From the Craft to Christ. You can check that out on my YouTube channel. Also, if you guys like these videos, please do like the videos that you like, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, all that fun stuff if you want. It helps me out a little bit, and maybe I'll focus more on YouTube in the coming year, so let me know if you like it. Hi, Sato. Hi, Cher. Hi, Art. Cher first comment to the broadcast. Welcome back, guys, if you were here for the last review, and thanks for joining me on this one. So this book is written, it feels like a sociology study with a bit of like a hint of Christian bias. And I just felt this whole time I was reading this book, I'm like, I feel like she's just getting, like, it's not very overt or direct that she thinks that Christianity is the best religion. She's trying to present it as if she's just presenting facts, like, here is information about religions and about some people. She basically interviewed, I don't know how many people off the top of my head, but it's a group of people from different age groups and backgrounds, and they all identify as SBNR, spiritual but not religious. So these are people who, on a questionnaire where they're asked, what religion do you subscribe to? All the options of religions are there, and then there's the option of none. So these are the people they refer to as nones, people who, Nones, people who do not ascribe to any given religion, and these are also not atheists. So these are people who they consider themselves spiritual, so they have like some belief in something. So there's a lot of like new agey spiritual beliefs here, stuff that resonates with me, probably a lot of people in my generation and the generation after me, and even the generation before me to some extent. And as we go through generation after generation, people are becoming less and less committed to organized religion and more into this category of SBNR, which is spiritual but not religious. Now, I really didn't like the other book that my mom gave me, but this one I thought was at least somewhat interesting. It definitely has given me a few interesting little key talking points and some conversations that I've had. It's a subject that a lot of people talk about. It's like religion and why it's good, why it's bad. So, this one was slightly more valuable than the other, but I don't think that it's important that anyone reads this. It's a small little like personal sample. I mean, she herself did all these interviews as far as I could tell, and it's just like, it was very obviously like biased towards the Christian beliefs, which she should have just left out of the book completely. And I would have just had a suspicion that she was a Christian, but she did a pretty good job hiding it until the final chapter. The final chapter was just over advice to the Christian church and to Christians and like what they should do to help combat this like epidemic of people that aren't Christian anymore. Now, she does do a good job representing other religions in the book, and she doesn't really seem to like try to make them look bad and Christianity look good. Maybe it's just my own perception, but I felt like in many ways it was almost like she was promoting other religions, but it was pretty clear to me, who's read a lot of kind of Christian slanted books, growing up in a Christian household and reading a lot of Christian authors when I was really actively involved in the church in like my late teens. So I can sniff it out. And it also came from my mom, which is like gonna probably be a Christian conversion book. So sell my book for Bitcoin money. I'm not going to sell these books because my mom bought these books, so I'm just going to give them to her. I'm going to bring them with me when I go back to home for Christmas, and I'm going to tell her to read them because she's like giving me books that she hasn't even read herself, and it's just like, these books are not accomplishing what you think they're accomplishing. Why don't you read them, and then if you think they're worth recommending or having me read, then do that. But, you know, my own issues with my mom's way of doing things is not the point of this broadcast. So a couple things that I found interesting, as she pointed out, is this pretty across the board consensus with people who are SBNR, spiritual but not religious, where we're very like self-centered in terms of our religious beliefs, or let's say spiritual beliefs. So even though like some people have some ritual that they do, and some people even go to like different types of churches and spiritual centers and retreats and do like some spiritual practices, most people don't subscribe to any one religion. And they all seem, not all, but like most of them were very much, when asked the question, like, who is your number one spiritual leader, spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, like spiritual guide, it's themselves. It's like, I count on myself to determine what spiritually resonates with me personally. So it's like a very personal set of belief systems. And oftentimes there's not really charity involved in these beliefs. It has a lot to do with yourself, like self-development, self-betterment, self-care, self-reflection, self-knowledge. Like it's self, which I think is great and valuable. But I do think there is an important component to like charity and the kinds of things I used to do when I was involved in the Christian church, which would involve like volunteering and doing things like missions trips where we would go around and like serve in homeless shelters and do different acts of kindness. Yeah, we were also trying to convert people to Christianity for, probably a variety of reasons, but ultimately we were doing some good in the world. And in religions, it's pretty consistent that there's teachings of like taking care of the sick and the poor and like taking care of the society and having a community. So I think and I do agree with what this book is saying, like this seems to be not so great, is that people don't have, when you remove religion from someone's life, you've removed like a big community aspect of their life that has really shaped humanity throughout human history. So it's difficult to know what kind of impact this would really have on us. All we can do is just kind of see what seems to be happening now. So this like self-reliance, it's very isolating. It's very like it's very American. It's very like independent. This value on independence and being on your own and being self-reliant. And it's just very isolating and very lonely. And I've been single now, living on my own for about a year and a half, a little bit more than that. And it's lonely. Like being alone and feeling like I have to count on myself for everything is not a great feeling. I've always benefited from being a part of some type of community. And I've done different things to try to create that in my own life, but they're not really based on charity, right? They're usually based on like similar interests that I have with different people. Even if you think of people that get together and do like marathons, 5Ks, a lot of times these are fundraisers for some type of charitable event. But even that oftentimes is really based on a personal best and a personal record and pushing yourself. So not only are these belief systems very personalized to each person and very like isolating and like they're each unique and separate from each other, they also seem to really stress therapeutic value. So when someone feels a sense of well-being, a sense of contentment, fulfillment, satisfaction, calm, like a mental health kind of gauge, that's how they determine that these spiritual practices are working for them, or whatever deities they're working with or religion they're associated with is like valuable and proven to be helpful and beneficial, is like based on their own success and their own outcomes, and particularly in like a therapeutic way where they feel some type of therapeutic benefit from yoga or meditation, which tend to be like, they can be considered spiritual practices that definitely derive much more from the East than the West. That was another consistency, is that people were moving away from like Western religions more so and trying to kind of take like an amalgamation of different Eastern practices and belief systems. So that was interesting. It wasn't consistent, wasn't like everyone. What she expected to find was a lot of people who just like hated the Christian church. And she found a lot of people that don't like the Christian church for a lot of reasons, but not necessarily people who had been subject to trauma from the Christian church, which is what she expected to find, which says a lot, but still, I would not be surprised to see a large quantity of that as well. Not seeing it doesn't necessarily indicate anything, if you ask me. This research, this study is like minimally valuable or even reputable, I would say. It's just kind of like you're just asking people questions. It's not science, okay? Let's just, psychology in general isn't science. So don't get me wrong. I love psychology, but it's not science. Hi Patrick. Hi Howard. I'm good. How are you? So therapeutic value, personal benefit. So like if someone is successful and has like good outcomes, they'll credit it to whatever rituals and practices they would do. So it's like these metrics and measurements of if their spiritual beliefs are valid are based on like the material outcomes in the world and like their own sense of like feeling good. So it's very subjective. That's the word I was trying to find earlier, is like each belief system and like each person is kind of an island in and of themselves, where it's like it's all subjective, it's all personal opinion. And a lot of what would be said is like what works for me might not work for someone else, my truth and someone else's truth. And there's just all this like, there's not a lot of stability or structure to this, which I think is fine. I think people are responding appropriately to the information they have access to. I think this is a positive, progressive movement away from organized religion. But I do think that it's important for us to figure out ways to create community and ways to make sure that we're still focused on charitable, like good work, taking care of people and making sure that we're like being good people in the world, some type of like moral calling. That's not just don't be violent, don't steal, like don't do bad things, but also has to do with doing good things. So how can we create communities that are unified and connected with each other and want to do good work in the world and have a positive impact? That's something that's, reading this book actually really has gotten me thinking about more and wanting to figure out and do myself. So I'm thinking about starting some type of like yoga meditation like night at a kava bar near me or something, and start trying to create like a place where people can come and do some yoga and meditate, and we can connect over similar beliefs and practices, like-minded people, and creating a space where people can come into community face to face with each other. But there needs to be some element of tying this into like random acts of kindness and doing some type of like cleaning up trash at a local park or something, right? We need to like do more in the society, in the community that's like for other people, and we need to feel connected to people on something that's higher than just ourself or a similar interest. It seems like some kind of like unifying belief. It does seem like it has some benefits. You know, I do mostly read nonfiction, yes. I think that was everything. How can we create impactful, connected communities without religion? That's a question I leave you with. Leave it in the comments if you have the answer, because it's a big question. And I'd love to start creating spaces like that somehow, or at least combining our brain efforts to figure out ways to be the change we want to see in the world, to quote Gandhi. Yeah, so spirituality would be considered like a metaphysics, like it's not based in science. Okay, I love you guys. Thanks for watching my reviews. This one was called Belief Without Borders, Inside the Minds of the Spiritual But Not Religious. I don't recommend it. I only read it because my mom gave it to me and I didn't want to be a bad daughter. But I don't think you need to read it. So I got some more books out of my storage unit. So the one that I've been reading now, but is not the shortest one, so it might not be the next one that I do, but will be coming soon, along with some others, is Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I love you, and you are worthy of being loved and feeling comfortable in your own skin. This has been A Moment in Time with Nex. extreme medium, squeeze the day. I will see you guys soon. Make sure you're following me everywhere so you don't miss any content, and subscribe, like the videos that you like, and there is a whole playlist of book reviews. If you've missed any, feel free to scroll through there. And I also send these out via email, so you can sign up for my book reviews email on my website, probably in the link below this video as well. Bye, Airjo. Bye, Art. Bye, Cher. Bye, Patrick. Bye, Howard. Bye, Sato. Love you guys.